The crystal glasses clinked as Marcus raised his champagne flute to celebrate his promotion to senior vice president at Blackstone Financial. The private dining room at Le Bernardin buzzed with congratulations from his colleagues, all sharp suits and sharper ambitions. I stood quietly by the window, bouncing our 18-month-old daughter Emma in my arms while she fussed. 3 years of marriage, and Marcus still introduced me the same way at every company function. "Marcus, congratulations," boomed Richard Blackstone, the CEO's nephew and Marcus's new boss. "You've certainly earned this promotion." "Thank you, sir. I couldn't have done it without the support of my team," Marcus replied, his voice carrying that practiced corporate Polish I'd grown to despise. Richard's eyes landed on me. "And who's this lovely lady? New nanny?" My stomach clenched, but I kept my expression neutral. This happened every single time. Marcus laughed, the sound grating against my ears. "Don't mind her, she's just the babysitter. My wife had to work late, you know how demanding her little job can be." The entire boardroom erupted in chuckles. Senior partners, managing directors, all laughing at the woman holding a baby they assumed I was paid to watch. "Some women know their place," Richard added with a smirk, raising his glass. "Taking care of the children while the real work gets done." "Exactly," agreed Patricia Wells, the only other woman at the table and Blackstone's head of human resources. "It's refreshing to see someone who understands traditional values." I bounced Emma gently, her tiny fist grabbing at my simple black dress. They had no idea this was my daughter. They assumed I was hired help because Marcus had spent 3 years systematically erasing me from his professional life. "Marcus has such a bright future ahead of him," Richard continued, gesturing expansively with his wine glass. "Senior VP at 32, and with his wife's support system, he can really focus on climbing the ladder." "Support system?" asked James Morrison, another VP candidate who'd been passed over for Marcus's promotion. "Well, you know how it is," Marcus said with that awful laugh again. "My wife handles all the domestic stuff, cooking, cleaning, childcare arrangements. Frees me up to put in the long hours this job demands." Patricia nodded approvingly. "Smart division of labor. Too many women today think they can have it all. It's nice to see one who knows her priorities." My phone began vibrating insistently in my purse. Emma started crying louder, and several people shot me annoyed looks. "Perhaps the babysitter should step outside," Richard suggested with barely concealed irritation. "We're trying to conduct business here." "Of course," Marcus said quickly, not even looking at me. "Sarah, why don't you take Emma for a walk? The adults need to talk." The dismissal was complete. 3 years of marriage, and he just called me by my first name like I was an employee. Worse, he'd sent me away from his celebration like I was disrupting important business. I started toward the door, Emma's cries echoing off the restaurant's elegant walls. Behind me, I could hear the conversation resuming. "You're lucky, Marcus," James said, his voice carrying an edge of envy. "Having someone to handle all the home stuff. My wife's always nagging about wanting a career too." "The key is setting clear expectations early," Marcus replied. "Sarah knew when we got married that my career had to come first. She's very accommodating." My phone buzzed again. This time I answered it, stepping into the restaurant's marble-floored lobby. "Ms. Parker, this is Jennifer from Meridian Capital. I'm sorry to interrupt your evening, but I wanted to personally confirm that the acquisition paperwork has been finalized." I shifted Emma to my other arm, her cries finally quieting as we moved away from the noise. "Everything went through smoothly?" "Yes, Blackstone Financial is now officially a subsidiary of Parker Holdings. The $50 million transfer completed at 6:47 p.m. Congratulations on your newest acquisition." I felt a smile tugging at the corners of my mouth for the first time all evening. "Thank you, Jennifer. Please schedule a board meeting for Monday morning. I'll want to review the current management structure." "Of course. Should I prepare termination packages for any specific positions?" I glanced back toward the dining room where Marcus was undoubtedly still basking in his promotion celebration. "Not yet. But have them ready." "Understood. Also, the Wall Street Journal wants to schedule an interview about the acquisition. They're calling it the youngest female CEO's biggest power play yet. Schedule it for Tuesday. And Jennifer? Make sure all Blackstone employees receive the acquisition announcement first thing Monday morning. I want them to know who their new owner is. Absolutely, Ms. Parker. Have a wonderful evening. I hung up and looked down at Emma, who was now contentedly playing with my necklace. Well, sweetheart, Daddy just got a very different kind of promotion than he expected. My phone immediately started buzzing with notifications. The business press worked fast. Within minutes, my acquisition of Blackstone Financial was trending on financial Twitter. I walked back toward the dining room, Emma calm in my arms. Through the glass doors, I could see Marcus holding court, his colleagues hanging on his every word about quarterly projections and market opportunities. My phone rang again. This time it was Marcus. Sarah, where the hell did you go? Emma's crying is disrupting the entire dinner. She's fine now. We're in the lobby. Well, stay there. This is important networking time, and Richard specifically mentioned how impressive it was that I had reliable childcare arrangements. He hung up before I could respond. Reliable childcare arrangements. For his own daughter. I looked at the push notification on my phone. Breaking. Parker Holdings acquires Blackstone Financial in $50 million deal. CEO Victoria Parker, 29, continues aggressive expansion. The irony was delicious. 20 minutes later, the dining room doors opened and the celebration began spilling into the lobby. Marcus appeared, his face flushed with champagne and victory. There you are. Richard wants to meet Emma before we leave. He's thinking about asking if you're available for weekend work when his grandkids visit. Marcus, I said quietly, I need to tell you something. Can it wait? Patricia is talking about recommending you to some of the other executives' families. This could be really good for your little babysitting business. Before I could respond, Richard Blackstone approached with several other executives in tow. Ah, there's our efficient babysitter, he boomed. Marcus tells me you're available for private clients. Actually, I said, shifting Emma so I could extend my hand properly, I'm Victoria Parker. I own Parker Holdings. Richard looked confused. I'm sorry. Parker Holdings just completed the acquisition of Blackstone Financial about 30 minutes ago. I'm your new owner. The color drained from Richard's face. Behind him, Patricia Wells had gone completely still, her champagne glass frozen halfway to her lips. That's impossible, Richard stammered. You're the babysitter. Marcus laughed nervously. Sarah, what are you talking about? You don't own anything. I pulled up the acquisition documents on my phone and handed it to Richard. The purchase was finalized at 6:47 p.m. for $50 million cash. I've been planning this acquisition for 8 months. Richard's hands were shaking as he scrolled through the official paperwork. This says Victoria Parker. Is my legal name. Sarah is my middle name. The name my husband uses because he's never bothered to learn my actual identity. I looked directly at Marcus, whose face had gone from confusion to horror. For 3 years, you've introduced me as just the babysitter at every company function. Tonight, you told your boss that I was hired help watching someone else's child. But you stay home, you take care of Emma. Marcus was struggling to form complete sentences. I work from home running a $300 million investment firm. Emma is our daughter, not some random child I babysit. And as of 30 minutes ago, I own the company you just got promoted at. The lobby had gone completely silent. Other restaurant patrons were staring at our group with undisguised curiosity. Patricia finally found her voice. You're that Victoria Parker? The one who's been acquiring financial firms across the East Coast. Among other things, yes. Parker Holdings now owns 17 companies, including the one that just promoted my husband to senior vice president. James Morrison started laughing, a sound tinged with hysteria. Do you realize what this means, Marcus? Your wife just bought the company you work for. She's not my wife, Richard said suddenly, still staring at the documents. According to this, Victoria Parker is unmarried. All eyes turned to me. I bounced Emma gently, her happy babbling the only sound in the tense silence. Legally, that's correct. I never changed my name after the wedding. Marcus insisted I use Sarah Blackwood socially because he thought Victoria Parker sounded too ambitious. I looked around the group. Turns out he was right to be concerned. Marcus grabbed my arm. Sarah, Victoria, whatever you want to be called. We need to talk. Privately. Actually, we need to talk professionally. As of Monday morning, I'll be reviewing all senior management positions at Blackstone. Your promotion falls under my purview now. You can't be serious. I'm very serious. For 3 years, you've dismissed me as just a babysitter while I built a business empire. You've erased me from your professional life because you were embarrassed by what you thought I was. I gently extracted my arm from his grip. Well, now you know what I actually am. Your boss. Richard was frantically typing on his phone. The board, they need to know, this changes everything. The board was notified an hour ago. I'll be meeting with them Monday to discuss operational changes. I looked directly at Marcus. I suggest you update your resume. Senior VP positions at Parker Holdings require a different skill set than what you've demonstrated tonight. Patricia stepped forward, her corporate smile forced and brittle. Ms. Parker, I think there may have been some misunderstanding. The misunderstanding was assuming the woman holding the baby was hired help instead of the CEO's wife. I turned toward the exit. Emma and I are going home now. Marcus, you can find your own way back. As I walked toward the lobby doors, I heard Marcus calling my name desperately. Behind him, his colleagues were buzzing with shocked conversations and frantic phone calls. My phone buzzed with a text from Jennifer. Wall Street Journal interview moved to 7 a.m. Monday. They want to discuss your acquisition strategy and work-life balance as a young mother in finance. I smiled, kissing Emma's forehead as we stepped out into the cool night air. Tomorrow, Marcus would wake up to discover his promotion had been rescinded and his position was under review. By Monday, everyone at Blackstone would know their new CEO was the woman they dismissed as just the babysitter. Sometimes the best revenge was simply revealing the truth.